The following program is a Town of Colonie television production of the William K. Sanford Town Library.
Welcome to Albany County News. I'm Mary Rozak, the Director of Communications for Albany County. And in the next time that you spend with us, you're going to hear about some very interesting things about the Albany Tulip Festival. Joining me today is the Mayor, Kathy Sheehan. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, it would not be spring. I know it's supposed to be spring, and as we're taping this, it does not feel like spring.
Right.
But it would not be spring without the Tulip Festival, and it is an exciting time.
Well, this is the 69th year, so you know, this is an embedded tradition now that spans generations, and it's something that I know people look forward to every year. Those tulips, the sign of spring, and Mother's Day, and it just helps us to sort of cast off the last bits of a long winter.
And the winter has just been so strange, and that's what I want to start off asking you about, because people might be concerned about the tulips. I know that when it was warm, could have been warm last week, who knows, but when it was warm earlier in the summer, I started seeing some of my tulips come up after a period. How are the tulips faring?
Well, you know, that's a really good question, because we had a couple of days, I think in January or February, it's hard to keep straight now, where we hit 70s. Yeah. Remember, it was the highest temperatures ever recorded. And so we were really worried about the tulips. I don't know if the then blizzard-like conditions and cold snap that we had will slow things down, but we'll know more. I know that our city gardener keeps a close eye on them, and so we're hoping that that spate of cold weather maybe slowed things down, and we'll have tulips for the Tulip Festival.
I'm going to have to go look in my yard today, because just talking about this reminded me that they had started coming up. But it's Mother's Day weekend, of course. People when is Tulip Fest? And always Mother's Day weekend.
That's right.
Historic.
Easy to remember.
Easy to remember. So that's the 13th and 14th of May this year.
That's right.
But there are things, let's talk first about the lead up to Tulip Fest. What can you tell us? Because as we're, everyone always wants to know what's happening, who's performing. Is it too early for you to tell us anything about that yet?
Well, we have the lineup for both Saturday and Sunday, but in the lead up, you know, we start with the street scrubbing, and that includes young Boy Scouts who come and assist in scrubbing the streets, and then we have young women from Albany High School who don the Dutch garb and the wooden shoes, and it's always really funny to hear them talk about trying to walk around in those wooden shoes. And we scrub the streets, and we have the Tulip Ball luncheon and the Tulip Festival luncheon, which is always a great event where we really showcase the outgoing Tulip Queen in court and then the incoming Tulip Court, one of whom will be crowned queen the next day.
And let's talk about that. As we're talking today, the nominations are in, and so now the process starts about selecting the Tulip Queen. Let's talk about that.
So we have a wonderful group of volunteers who interview the young women who are nominated and who go through a selection process. And they're really looking for young women who are going to recognize that this is an obligation that they're taking on if they're selected, to give of their time, to volunteer, to work on literacy. And so it is a big commitment, and we really are looking for young women who have demonstrated that they have volunteered in the past, that they're involved in the community, that they care about the community. And it really is a wonderful thing to see when I meet the court that has been selected. Every year, I'm just amazed. We have medical students, and we have college graduates, and we have students who are in college, and they are just really incredibly accomplished young women.
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, they come from all walks of life, have all kinds of goals,
yes,
both personal and professional, and it is interesting to see that mix. How often is it that that you have encountered that it's actually the nominee herself who has really been the one to drive her nomination, or maybe it's a family member or a friend?
Well, you know, I think it's a combination. A lot of times it is family members, people who think that a young woman is, a good candidate. There is scholarship money that goes along with it. So I think they work very hard for the scholarship money. They absolutely earn it because of all of the volunteering that they do. But it is an opportunity to help pay for education.
It really is. When we talk about how much work really goes into what the Tulip Queen has to do. There are a lot of public appearances. I remember talking last year when we had the Tulip Queen with us talking about that. I don't think people realize that.
That's right, and they show up at a number of different events. They go to schools, we had a number of pop-up events that our police department held. So they really are out there in the community, and it is a great way to get to know the city of Albany in a deeper way and to really have an impact, particularly on our young people. They love to meet the Tulip Queen in her court, and they think it's really cool. So,
well, royalty in the city of Albany.
That's right.
You know,
that's right.
Pop-up events, for those who may not be familiar, you said
So our police department last summer did a number of, we called them pop-up barbecues, where we went into a neighborhood and we brought one of those big inflatable movie screens and showed a movie for kids and had burgers and hot dogs and healthy foods as well. And it was an opportunity for young people to interact with the police department, play kickball, just really engage and get to know one another.
And I know it's off topic, but as we're talking about that, I mean, that's really, when you're talking about getting to know one another, it really is probably the core, it sounds like, of that whole community policing initiative that has been really the driving force behind the department.
Absolutely, and I think, bringing it back to the Tulip Festival, it's an opportunity as well when you see the police officers that are there and our first responders who are there. They are really doing an outstanding job, because the Tulip Festival is a time when we have literally thousands and thousands of people who come into the city, and I hope that people recognize that they are really engaging with our residents and with our visitors, and are there to be a source of help, answer questions, and they are our neighbors.
It's the Tulip Festival, and many of the events there's been an attitude change. And I know that you said, really, these are family-focused events, and let's talk about how that has been received, because I know initially when people hear about change, and people hear about, a change in an alcohol policy, a change in certain things, right away they say, wait a minute, how is this changing my tradition? How has that been received overall over the last couple of years?
Oh, I will say that, and you'll hear this from the organizers, you'll hear it from our police department. Attendance at the Tulip Festival is stronger, much higher than it was. There was a period of time where it was visited upon by a lot of younger people. There was a lot of drinking and fights, and it got to be pretty difficult for families to justify bringing their kids down. And so once we established a beer tent, it's not that alcohol is banned, but it's responsible drinking, it's available, but in a way that is much more family friendly, much more community friendly. And it has really changed the turnout. You now have families coming out, they can bring their, mother or grandmother to the festival and not worry about being caught up in, some of the behaviors that were occurring. So, it has really increased, I think, the attendance and the reception for this festival throughout the region.
We are talking with Albany Mayor Kathy Sheehan about the Albany Tulip Festival this year. Let's get down to brass tacks. Let's talk about what's on the agenda.
So on Saturday, we start with the crowning of the Tulip Queen. We process into the lake house with, we go through the main tulip beds, which is always beautiful and wonderful. And the Mendelssohn Club provides some entertainment before the actual crowning ceremony starts. And we coronate the Tulip Queen at noon, and it's really a great event. And I'm always surprised. People ask me; they think I maybe know in advance, and I don't. It is just a wonderful ceremony, and to see the support that happens among the young women, because they've really gotten to know one another.
Sure.
In the days leading up to the coronation.
Now, who does know before you? You don't know until that very minute. I mean, hopefully it's not like going to be like a Warren Beatty moment.
No. And there is always a lot of pressure when you have to be the one naming the Tulip Queen. But the selection committee certainly knows. And so, but it's sort of like some people don't want to know whether it's a boy or a girl when they're expecting. I don't want to know. I tell them all the time, I don't want to know. I'll just, I'll find out when everybody else does.
So that's got to be a wonderful surprise.
Yeah,
then.
yes. And then we have incredible entertainment. I mean, we have on Saturday, our entertainment sponsor is EQX, and they have lined up a really great lineup. A local favorite, Wild Adriatic, is going to take the stage at 1:30. And then we have the Palms, who are visiting from LA. They're LA based, that are coming on stage at 3 o'clock. And then we have another outstanding group that I believe just released a new album, Minus the Bear, is coming on at 4:30. So that's the lineup, and I know that folks are really excited about it. It's great music for the festival.
I've got to look up Minus the Bear.
Minus the Bear, look them up. And if you go on to the albanyevents.org website, I believe we have a little bit more information about the bands and where you can listen to some of their music.
albanyevents.org.
Yes.
All right, so that takes us through Saturday, but not through Saturday night. Isn't that a special, very special night?
That's right. That is the Tulip Ball, and we are underway. We're fast and furious with making the arrangements for that, and we are going to have that at our brand new Capitol Center. So we're very excited about using the new space, and we hope that we sell lots and lots of tickets because it is all for a good cause. We raise money for the Capital City Fund, which is a not-for-profit that's been set up, and it's administered by the Community Foundation and of the Capital Region, and it really helps to fund all types of programming that occurs in the city. We have an application process and a selection committee, and we fund things like the Music Mobile, although the Music Mobile is of the past, but education programs in our parks, and various small arts organizations that sometimes have a hard time accessing those big grants and bigger funds. And so this is an opportunity for us to provide funding for all kinds of small arts organizations and education programs that are doing great things in the city of Albany.
And they apply for the...
That's right. They apply, and those applications are scored, and grants are given out by a selection committee.
Okay. So that takes us through, a ball. It's always nice when you think about a ball.
Absolutely.
But that takes you through Saturday and Sunday, Mother's Day. That's
right. So on Mother's Day, our media sponsor is our media sponsor is 98.3, 99.5, and The River, Pix 106. So we have on the main stage at 1:30, Holly and Evan. And then we have Aaron Harks at 3 o'clock and the Delphonics at 4:30.
Wow.
So again, you can learn more about those groups and the music at albanyevents.org.
All right, we'll make sure we give that out again at the end.
And the other thing is, that's on the main stage. We also have a local stage where we really feature local musicians. So there will be music on the local stage, which is by the Lake House on Saturday, and on Sunday you can hear everything from Cannon the Brave to Ramblin' Jug Stompers. So we really run the gamut.
I get, and all of that at albanyevents.org.
That's right.
That whole listing. There is also another selection, another winner on Sunday. Is it the Mother of the Year?
The Mother of the Year, which is sponsored by the Times Union, and that occurs again on the main stage. On the stage at the Playhouse, Park Playhouse, where you see Park Playhouse at the Lake House, and that is on Sunday at noon. So we will be crowning the Mother of the Year, and it's again, when I hear the stories of these mothers and what they do and the nominations, it brings a tear to your eye every time you hear them.
And what a wonderful way to actually spend Mother's Day.
Oh, I love it. I always go on Mother's Day. I go with a group of friends, and we just put our chairs down and listen to some music and shop, because there are amazing vendors.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because it is not all about seeing the flowers and listening to the music. There's lots of other stuff.
That's right. So we have amazing vendors that sell all kinds of crafts, jewelry, clothing, food, you name it. We also have an arts area where you can buy from local artists, everything from paintings to sculptures. It's really a great scene to be able to see our local arts community in action. Sure. And we're going to have an additional feature this year. We're going to have a tent that really highlights the history of the Tulip Festival and our sister city, Nijmegen, who the city of Albany really helped after World War II to rebuild, sent over all kinds of building materials, clothing, food, things that this city that is very similar in size, very similar, it has a university similar to the size of Albany. So, and it's the city that the 82nd Airborne really liberated. And in the movie A Bridge Too Far, that tells the story of the battle that occurred in Nijmegen. And so they have deep respect for our 82nd Airborne and are very grateful for their liberation and the sacrifice that was made. And so we're going to have a tent that tells the story. There's a film that the city of Nijmegen filmed as a thank you to the city of Albany.
Oh, nice.
And that was followed by a gift of tulip bulbs that were then planted in Washington Park, and thus the Tulip Festival began.
Wow. So this will be one of those things where it's an educational experience as well as an enjoyable one to go look at the tulips and then find out really the history.
That's right. That's right.
I remember reading, Paul Grondel over the years has done a number of things, but I believe it was last year, had done a number of lead-up stories.
And Paul is really involved in this project, as is the Times-Union. There's going to be a special section of the Times-Union that tells the story of Nijmegen, and we have a professor coming over from Nijmegen to talk about the scholarship that she has done around this relationship between our two cities.
Wow. What is it, every year you go with your friends. What is something unique or the most interesting or something that you just is out of the ordinary that you maybe discovered last year?
Well, to me it is I love visiting the different vendors, and there are always new and unique things. People are so creative. I'm not a particularly craft-oriented person or creative person. I just
not either.
It was not in my genes. So I really appreciate and enjoy just seeing the creativity that exists, and being able to also see the diversity of the people that come to the Tulip Festival. The city of Albany has a growing refugee population.
Right.
And we have people who are really seeing the Tulip Festival through a very unique set of eyes. They may have come here from a war-torn country. There are people who come here who've lived in refugee camps for, in some cases, their entire lives. And to see them come with their families and take pictures in front of the tulips and experience, the food and the festivities and the music, and all of it's free. Sure. Well, the food isn't free, but the event itself is free. And again, it just reminds me of how fortunate we are. We're fortunate to have a city that is able to provide this type of celebration and this opportunity for people to come together and share in community.
Let's also talk about the opportunity. The tulips are beautiful. People cannot pick them.
No.
But there's an opportunity to actually take something home after the Tulip Festival.
That's right. People can come the following weekend and dig up the tulips, the tulip bulbs, and they bag some and take some. So those who come and volunteer to dig them up, they fill a bag that that is then sold by the Washington Park Conservancy to raise money. So if you don't want to come in and get down on your hands and knees and dig to get some free tulip bulbs, you can come and purchase some tulip bulbs knowing that you are really funding a great cause, because the Washington Park Conservancy provides a lot of resources to the park. They have members of their board who are master gardeners and who really understand landscape architecture and are true wonderful stewards of the park. And then they also do fundraising, and they fund projects in the park. So whether it's planting of trees, they helped with some bridge reconstruction and repairs that occurred to one of the footbridges. And so they're also helping to donate to the skateboard park that is going to be opening in June.
Oh, wow. Talk a little bit about that.
So on the tennis courts, there are a couple of courts that haven't been used in years, and they actually are naturally sloped. And so they really form the basis for a really great skateboard park. And we are installing a skateboard park this year. It is going to open on National Skate Day. There's a skateboard day.
Okay.
And I can't recall whether that's the 20th or the 22nd of June, but it's somewhere in June. And I've been promised that it will be completed on time and we will be open for National Skate Day. And the park, the Conservancy really sponsored it and supported it because they hope that it will get kids off of the monuments, you know, skateboarding on the monuments. We know that we need to provide a place for people to, and I say kids, there are a lot of adults who skate, who are very talented. So
I don't need wheels on my feet.
No. Again, not one of my superpowers either, but this was designed in collaboration with the community. A lot of diehard skateboarders were involved in the process of designing the skate park, and we're really excited for it.
Wow. So is it free? Is there an admission?
It will be free and open to the public.
Wow.
But you'll be skating at your own risk.
At your own risk, okay. Okay. I'm guessing skateboarders wear helmets and pads, one would hope?
One would hope. And there will be posted rules, and you will be required to wear safety gear in the skateboard park. But it is, again, an opportunity for the city to get with, most other cities across the country where, we have a law that bans skateboards from the sidewalks and bans them from a lot of places, and we know that doesn't work. We need to.
And I was going to say, I can't think of the last time I saw a skateboard on any sidewalk.
Yeah. But they're out there. They're out there.
Wow. Well, that will certainly be exciting. So lots of things going on. I know we're talking about Tulip Festival. We just branched off a little bit. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about that the city has got coming up?
Well, we are really pushing making this city bike friendly. So we started a project last year on Madison Avenue that runs from Allen Street down to, I believe it goes as far as Partridge, that calms the traffic. It takes 4 lanes of traffic and turns it into 2 lanes with a turning lane with full bike lanes on either side. And that project is going to be extended this spring and summer.
Okay.
And we're going to go all the way down to Lark Street. So Washington Ave is going to be repaved and relined, and those bike lanes are going to go all the way from Upper Madison Avenue all the way down to Lark Street. So we're really excited for that. Again, access to Washington Park, access to the restaurants on Upper Madison Avenue, access from people who live up on Upper Madison Avenue to the great restaurants on Lark Street. So we're really excited about that.
And with all that CDTA has been doing too, in terms of ridership and being able to perhaps ride on your bike one way and then put your bike on the bus, on one of the racks.
I love hearing Carm Bazil, who's the CEO of CDTA, talk about that, because he said, I was the grumbler who said nobody's going to use these bike racks, and he is a true believer. He said, I defy you to see one of those buses that has a bike rack on the front of it without a bike on it.
Sure.
And when you look, you see them everywhere. So it really is a great way for people. You can, ride down, spend a day on Lark Street, and then if you need to jump on a CDTA bus to get you back, you can do that.
Sure.
And then, of course, the new bike lanes and the new, calmer, more pedestrian-friendly Riverfront Park. The Corning Riverfront Park got a major facelift last year. It was completed, towards the end of the fall, and it'll be ready for full use this spring. And it is really such an upgrade from what was there, and I know that the cyclists in particular are really excited about it.
Well, that sounds wonderful. I should ask you in terms of driving protocol, because I often wonder, and once we have the warmer weather, there'll be more people out using those bike lanes. Probably a good time to remind people, when you are driving, you're staying out of that bike lane, but what happens when you're making a turn?
Well, again, you just need to be really cautious and really aware, and that's true for drivers as well as for cyclists. And so the bike lane, if you know notice along Madison Avenue, you'll see areas where it goes to like almost a dotted line,
Okay.
and it's painted a different color. And that's to allow a motorist and a cyclist to know this is an area of potential conflict,
Okay.
where a car may be turning and a bike may be seeking to go straight. And so, again, it's just that visual cue that this is an area where I need to be a little more alert, look at my mirrors, and make sure that
Sure.
I'm not going to be having an interference with a bicycle.
Wonderful. And of course, as we wrap things up and get back to Tulip Fest, riding your bike, certainly a way to avoid any kind of potential parking.
That's right.
Circling
That's right.
around.
Actually, before I became mayor, I would ride my bike to Tulip Festival, and that was the easiest way to get around. But now that I'm mayor, I do have the ability to park. So, because I do usually have to get in and out
Sure.
because there are other events that go on.
Oh,
So,
certainly.
but I would encourage anybody who's coming from within 5 miles, if you can ride there safely, it certainly is a great way to get there and not have to worry about parking and traffic and all
Sure.
of that.
And let's wrap up by saying, when we are those who are 5 miles or more away and who won't be riding their bikes there. Tell me a little bit about the parking situation. I mean, Washington Park is closed at that point for
Washington
traffic.
Park is closed. A lot of people park on the streets. There are also garages all along New Scotland Avenue. So, if you come in and get yourself onto New Scotland Avenue, the garages that are across from Albany Medical Center Hospital, and the new one that's on Myrtle Avenue, or Morris, Myrtle, those are all garages where typically you can find parking.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, one more time, people can find out information by going to the website for the Tulip Fest.
albanyevents.org, and all of this information is there. A lot more information is there, and I know I didn't do justice to the bands, so you can learn more about them on the website as well.
Well, I am going to find out about I think it's Minus the Bears.
Minus the Bear.
I've got to find out about that a little more. Thank you, Mayor Sheehan, for joining us today. Look forward to the Tulip Festival.
Thank you.
This has been Albany County News. I'm Mary Rozak. We hope to see you again soon.